Your best month just happened. Biggest invoice ever. Client finally paid. You feel like you finally figured this whole freelance thing out. So you do what every finance guru says: max out the IRA, prepay quarterly taxes, buy the camera you deserve. 16 weeks later, you're staring at a $0 checking account wondering how smart turned into screwed. I've been there. Here are 6 moves that feel responsible in a good month and quietly destroy you in a bad one. This is the good month trap, and it's basically a rite of passage for anyone with irregular income. You get a fat deposit, your brain assumes the faucet's gonna keep flowing, and you front-load every responsible decision your salaried friends make. But salaried people get another check in 2 weeks. You might get your next one in 4 months. The math isn't the same. The advice shouldn't be either. Let's meet Maya. She's a video editor in Austin. March was unreal. 3 corporate clients, $22,000 in 30 days. She did the smart thing and dumped $7 grand into her Roth IRA on April 1st. By July, her only active client ghosted her, and she had $1,100 left to cover rent, software subscriptions, and the slowest August of her career. The IRA was locked up. The taxes were already sent. And she couldn't pull any of it back without penalties and regret. Mistake number 1, maxing out retirement accounts the second you have cash. Look, I love a Roth IRA. It's basically a tax-free magic box. But if you dump your entire liquid cushion into an account you can't touch without eating a 10% penalty in taxes, you're not investing, you're gambling that no client will disappear for 90 days. And clients love disappearing for 90 days. It's like their hobby. The fix is boring, but it works. Build your slow month runway first. That's 6 months of expenses sitting in a boring savings account doing absolutely nothing exciting. Once that's alive and breathing, then you feed the retirement accounts. Think of it as oxygen mask rules: you first, your future self second. Your future self will understand. Your future self also doesn't want you evicted. Mistake number 2, prepaying quarterly taxes like you're trying to win a gold star from the IRS. A 2025 study found that freelancers who overpay early often face cash crunches later because, surprise, the IRS doesn't send thank you cards or refunds quickly when you're self-employed. They just hold your money and earn interest on it, which is just a fancy way of saying you're giving the government a zero-interest loan while your own checking account bleeds out. Here's how the math actually breaks down. Let's say you owe roughly $8,000 in quarterly taxes for the year. You get a good month and pay all $8 grand in April. Then May, June, and July are crickets. You've got no cushion, no income, and the IRS has your cash. If you'd paid $2,000 in April and held $6,000 in a high-yield savings account, you'd have earned a little interest and kept your options open. Options are worth more than gold stars. Mistake number 3, investing the surplus like you're a day trader who finally got a clue. This one hits especially hard in bull markets. You see your checking account hit 5 digits for the first time ever, and some finance bro on YouTube convinced you that cash is trash. So you buy the index fund, the crypto, the whatever coin. Then the market dips 20% the same week your biggest client cuts their budget. Now you're selling low to pay for groceries. It's like bringing a sword to a thumb war, impressive, but wrong. The rule here is simple. Investment money is money you genuinely don't need for at least 3 to 5 years. Might not need. Don't need. If there's any scenario where you'd have to sell to cover rent, that's not an investment, that's a panic attack waiting in line. Keep your runway cash in something boring. Let the brokerage account be the reward for having your act together, not the thing that forces you to get your act together. Mistake number 4, upgrading your lifestyle because one good month means you've made it. This is the most human mistake on the list, which means it's the most expensive. Your brain is not built for irregular income. It's built for patterns. You get a big check, your pattern recognition software assumes this is the new normal, and suddenly you're looking at apartments with in-unit laundry. I get it. In-unit laundry is the dream. But the dream can wait until you've had 3 good months in a row, not 1. Let's talk about Derek. He's a copywriter who had a $14,000 month in February. He leased a car, upgraded his parking space, and started ordering delivery like the apps were going out of business. By June, his retainer client paused their contract, and his new car payment was more than his remaining monthly income. He couldn't downgrade the lease. He couldn't pause the parking contract. He was locked into a lifestyle that required an income stream he no longer had. The fix here is what I call the 3-month rule. Any recurring expense that lasts longer than 3 months, gym memberships, car leases, software annual plans, that fancy coffee subscription, has to survive a stress test. Ask yourself, if my next check comes in 4 months instead of 4 days, does this payment still feel good? If the answer is no, don't sign. Freedom is having low overhead. Low overhead is what lets you say no to bad clients. Bad clients are why you went freelance in the first place. Mistake number 5, locking in annual subscriptions because the yearly price saves you 20%. This one is sneaky because it actually is smart for salaried people. If you know you're employed next year, yeah, prepay the Adobe plan, save $40, call it a win. But freelancers don't know what next quarter looks like. According to Bonsai's 2025 freelancer survey, over 60% of independent workers start without any budget or financial plan, which means they're guessing. And guessing with annual commitments is how you end up paying for software you can't afford to use because you can't afford to freelance anymore. Here's the math that hurts. You pay $800 up front for a year of Creative Cloud to save $200. 2 months later, you need that $800 for rent. You've now saved negative $600 and you still need the software. The annual discount is only a discount if the money you're spending isn't money you might need to survive. For freelancers, monthly is usually the premium you pay for flexibility. And flexibility is the whole point of this job. Mistake number 6, paying down debt aggressively because the interest rate is haunting your dreams. I know. Every personal finance channel tells you to kill debt fast. And if you have a steady paycheck, that's decent advice. But freelancers who throw every surplus dollar at credit cards or student loans in good months are one slow season away from running those cards right back up. Because when the work dries up and you have no cash, the credit card becomes your emergency fund. And credit card emergency funds charge 29% interest. Meet Priya. She's a photographer who got a huge wedding gig in May and threw $4,000 at her credit card balance. Felt amazing. By September, her bookings were dead, her car needed a new transmission, and she had no savings buffer. She put $2,200 on the same card she just paid off. Net result, she paid $4,000, then immediately reborrowed half of it at a higher rate because she was desperate. The aggressive payoff made her feel responsible. The reality was she just shuffled debt around and paid extra fees for the privilege. The better move is the split payment strategy. When you get a good month, you pay the minimums plus a little extra, sure, but you park the real surplus in your slow month fund. Once that fund hits 6 months of expenses, then you go nuclear on the debt. Because here's the thing, paid off debt doesn't pay your rent. Cash does. And cash in a freelancer's hand is worth way more than a slightly lower balance on a screen. Now I want to address the obvious question. If all the standard advice is wrong for freelancers, what actually works? The answer is boring, which is why nobody sells courses on it. You need a baseline salary, not what you earned last month, not your best month. Your average month over the last 12 months, cut by 20% because we're pessimists now, that's your real income. Everything above that in a good month goes to taxes, the slow month fund, and then maybe the fun stuff. The fun stuff comes last. I don't make the rules, I just lost money ignoring them. Let's put real numbers on this. Imagine you grossed $96,000 last year as a designer. That's $8,000 a month average. Cut it by 20% and your baseline is $6,400. In a great month where you invoice $14,000, you don't live like you make $14,000. You live like you make $6,400. The rest gets sliced up roughly 30% for taxes, 40% to the slow month fund until it's full, and whatever's left can go to debt or investments. It's not sexy, but sexy financial plans are usually just gambling with better lighting. And look, I know some of you are watching this thinking, but Shad, the retirement contribution limits are time sensitive. If I don't max out by April, I lose the tax advantage forever. That's technically true, but being tax efficient in April doesn't help if you're eviction curious in August. The tax code will still be there next year. Your landlord might not be that patient. Prioritize liquidity first. Tax optimization is a luxury for people with steady cash flow. You're not there yet. That's not an insult, that's just the job. There's one more trap I want to mention, and it's more psychological than mathematical. A lot of freelancers use good months to prove to themselves that they belong in this career. The new gear, the maxed retirement account, the aggressive debt payoff, it's not just money management. It's identity management. You're trying to feel legitimate. I did this for years. Every big check was proof I wasn't crazy for quitting my job. But the proof isn't in the spending. The proof is in the sustainability. Anyone can look successful for 30 days. The ones who last are boring on purpose. So here's your homework. Open your bank account right now and look at your last 3 deposits. If they were all within the last 6 weeks, you are currently in danger of making every mistake on this list. Your brain is primed to feel optimistic. Write down your baseline salary number before the optimism takes over. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate savings account for every future deposit. Make it harder to spend the surplus than to save it. Because willpower is a myth, and your future slow month is inevitable. And if you're already in the hole, if you already maxed the IRA, prepaid the taxes, locked in the annual Adobe plan, and now you're panicking, don't beat yourself up. I've done versions of all 6 of these. The fix is the same whether you're preventing the mistake or recovering from it. Stop the bleeding, cancel what you can cancel, sell what you can sell, and rebuild the runway one small deposit at a time. It'll take longer than you want. Everything worth doing does. In my next video, I'm breaking down exactly how to build that 6-month runway when your income looks like a heart monitor. We'll cover the percentage splits, the account types that actually help, and why your bank's savings account is probably paying you basically nothing while laughing at you. Subscribe if you want to catch it. And if you recognized yourself in any of these mistakes, welcome to the club. The dues are expensive, but the lessons are worth it. See you in the next one.